for the great state of Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, good morning to you.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
We're doing very well. Hopefully you're warmer than we are.
Well, it's just kind of cold all over this country, so global warming is really kicking in.
Now, when it's really cold, Senator, we're supposed to call it climate change.
Oh, yeah, they did change that, didn't they?
Yeah, or climate...
Right. Sorry about that. I'll correct it next time.
Mm-hmm. Climate disruption, right? That's the new way, because then storms, too, fit.
And that's the name of our new band.
Climate disruption. Yeah. We rock. Senator Ron Johnson with us. The federal circuit judge, ruling the president's immigration orders, at least putting a hold on them, letting the cases move through. What do you think of the ruling? Will that have an impact on what's happening in the Senate right now with the DHS funding bill?
I think it will. It was a 123-page, I think, very well-reasoned opinion. And it really just struck at the heart of and really destroyed President Obama and Secretary Johnson's argument that this is case-by-case prosecutorial discretion. It's not. It really does, I think, convincingly prove that President Obama exceeded his legal and constitutional authority here. And so I think it will, it certainly should change the debate. My guess is, having read a very detailed summary of it, I haven't read all 123 pages, but my guess is it's so well-reasoned it should be upheld on appeal from any judge that actually just follows the law.
Senator, yesterday, Senator Rubio was in Las Vegas, and reports there say that he suggested that the Senate eventually just will pass a clean bill to fund DHS without anything attached to it. Do you think that's the way this is going to end up? Is that the right strategy to take in the Senate?
I have no crystal ball in terms of how this is all going to play out. If I listen to Speaker Boehner, he says the House has done their work. They've passed a bill that funds all the essential parts of the DHS to keep this nation safe. It just doesn't fund what has now been ruled unlawful executive actions. That sounds like a pretty reasonable approach to me. We have tried to bring a bill onto the floor of the Senate for debate, for amendments, start taking some votes. It's Democrats that have been the obstructionists there. Mm-hmm. It's not Republicans who picked this fight. It's President Obama through his now, what's been ruled unlawful executive actions that picked this fight. Every Republican I know wants to fund the essential services and the mission of Department of Homeland Security to keep this nation safe and secure. It's the Democrats who are the obstructionists. They're the ones that picked the fight.
And Senator, we keep hearing that, if there's a government shutdown, the blame will be thrown on Republicans. They're hesitant because it'll be Republicans blame for it. But I think you described it quite perfectly. It won't be a Republican fault if there is a shutdown over this.
Well, again, there won't be a complete shutdown. In the last government shutdown, about 90% of the government continued to function. Department of Homeland Security, only 13.6% of their employees were furloughed. Everybody else stayed on the job. They continued to work. One thing the House could potentially do is if we don't get a funding, if Democrats won't allow us to put a bill on the floor to start debating and amend it to find some area of compromise, if the funding goes past February 27th, maybe what the House can do is pass a simple bill to at least pay the people that are basically continue to work because they are essential. They're going to keep this nation safe. So there are a number of tactical moves that can probably be made. This will eventually get sorted out. The department will be funded. But I think it is important that the Republicans stand up and we do describe how President Obama has exceeded his legal authority and that it is Democrats that are being the obstructionists here.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson with us here from the great state of Wisconsin. It's Ronnie and Scot out in WROK. We continue to see the savagery, the ISIS terror group, be more beheadings and more humans lit on fire while alive, burned to death. And yet this week we see, I think, a bumbling administration. Marie Harf says we get them jobs, everything will be okay. The president, Eric Holder, refusing to call anything Islamic terrorism. Is there any leadership, is there any clear path being put forward by the president on this fight against ISIS?
No, there's unfortunately very little leadership. And part of the problem is President Obama and his administration just refuses to acknowledge reality. I mean, guys, none of us like this reality. I mean, this evil barbarism that we are witnessing. Nobody wants to even look at it. We want to turn our face away from it, but we can't. This is a real and present danger to the civilized world, and we need a strong commander-in-chief that will actually lead in this effort, will acknowledge reality and confront it. This is not a threat that we want to continue to linger. This is a threat that must be defeated. The sooner the better, because the longer it lingers, the longer that ISIS isn't perceived as losing, they'll be perceived as winning, and so they'll continue to attract additional jihadists to their movement. They'll continue to inspire the type of homegrown terrorism we've seen now in Copenhagen and in Paris and in Ottawa and in Sydney, in Fort Hood, Texas. This isn't going away. This threat is growing, is metastasizing. It must be dealt with. The sooner the better.
And in addition to being irresponsible, the fact that the administration continues to lean on, it's just a random act. I mean, they just randomly picked a deli in Paris. They just randomly picked a book reading in Copenhagen. These are, you guys are getting way ahead of yourselves in calling it Islamic terrorism.
Well, I come from a manufacturing background, so I've solved a lot of problems. You know what the first step in solving any problem is? You have to actually admit you have one, and you have to properly define it. Again, you have to face reality. And unfortunately, we have a commander-in-chief, a president that is not acknowledging that reality. By the way, his definition of defeat is not our definition of defeat. His definition of defeat is let's just kind of contain this thing for the next couple of years, and I'll let the next guy or gal take care of it. That is not leadership. We need far better resolve than that.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson with us. We talked with Congressman Adam Kinzinger earlier this week about the authorization for the use of military force. He said he thinks it's unconstitutional. It limits future presidents as to what they can do, putting a time limit and the ground troop provisions. Do you think what the president's asking for is appropriate? Is it unconstitutional? Will he get what he wants?
Well, what I've been trying to point out on the authorization is it's the last step in the process. The first step is acknowledging reality. The next step is we have got to find out what this administration's goal actually is. I mean, define what you mean by defeat. And once we've kind of teased that out of this administration, because they're not exactly forthright in terms of what they mean by defeat, then we need to see what is your strategy. And guys, I'll tell you, what I need to see out of this president is not only that definition of the goal, not only a strategy that can achieve that goal, I want to see a 100% commitment to achieving the goal. I will not vote for an authorization for use of military force to use the finest among us unless I know the commander-in-chief is committed to accomplishing the goal he stated. Otherwise, it's not worth losing American life over.
And isn't it strange to see more leadership, more steely resolve out of the King of Jordan and the leadership in Egypt than we see here at home?
It's just a sad fact. And let's face it, ISIS represents an existential threat to Jordan and to Saudi Arabia and to Egypt. It represents a real threat to America, but it is about time. And I agree with the president. We need to assemble a coalition of the Arab states. They need to be fully engaged in this. They need to renounce this brand of Islamic terrorism, this extremism brand of a religion. They need to renounce that because that's at the core of what we need to accomplish here.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson with us here from Wisconsin. It's Riley and Scott here on WROK. You're up for re-election in 2016. No surprise, we're not breaking news. There's a target on your back. There's a target on our Senator Mark Kirk's back. I read a piece in The Hill, and I've heard this quote from you a couple of times now. I will never vote with my re-election in mind. Basically saying, I am who I am. I'm Ron Johnson. This is what I believe. This is how I vote. I always think that's would be one of the toughest things about being a politician, being a senator, congressman, whatever it might be. You believe something that someone else has to tell you, politically, that would be bad. You might want to vote this other way. It'll help you in 2016 or 2020. But you're saying that's not going to happen to you at all. You are who you are.
Well, I made two primary promises when I ran for election. I'd always tell Wisconsinites the truth to the best of my ability, and I would never vote or really conduct myself with my re-election in mind. I don't covet the job. I didn't run to become a U.S. senator to be a senator. I ran for office because this nation is in peril. And we were racking up $1 trillion-plus deficits. President Obama had passed the greatest assault in our freedom of our lifetime, Obamacare. It's turning out to be a disaster, and we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. And look at the reduction in our national security being brought about by this president. So, Americans right now are craving security in certain times. They need to realize that the Democrats, President Obama, their policies have reduced our national security, our income security, our job security, our retirement security. They've reduced our health care security. It's not working. People need to understand that. They need to start thinking for themselves and turn away from these policies, put America back on the right path.
And, along the lines, we opening up the door to politics here a little bit, I'm sure you're disappointed, and at your first opportunity will have a chance and sit down and express your disappointment to Governor Walker for not finishing college, right? Because that thereby disqualifies him for anything.
I don't think Steve Jobs finished college. And look at what that creative mind, that brilliant mind created. Bill Gates, there are a host of people. There are other presidents. I don't believe Abraham Lincoln had a college degree. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't think so. Listen, college is great, but people, I do like the school of hard knocks. I like the school of experience. I think that's far more valuable, and Governor Walker has shown the kind of courage. He's implemented policies that worked, and he's been vilified for it. We need people with that kind of strength and resolve, that kind of courage.
Any doubt in your mind at all? You work with Governor Walker in Wisconsin, of course. You've been in Washington now for some years. Any doubt in your mind at all? He has not said he's running, but if he does decide to run, that he would be able to handle the job, that he has the strengths and the qualities needed to be president.
Yeah, I don't think America really fully realized, how vicious the attacks were, the death threats, not only to Governor Walker, but to female members of our Assembly and State Senate. I mean, it was vicious. It took a great deal of courage. I mean, that's a pretty good starting point in terms of an evaluation for somebody who wants to run for president. So, listen, I've been a big supporter of Scott Walker. I'll support whoever gets through the process, becomes our nominee. But listen, I'm certainly in Scott Walker's corner.
Senator, thanks a lot, as always, for taking time out of your day for us. We really appreciate it.
Have a great day.